I'm Sarah Sladek, and welcome back to the Membership IQ. Have you heard young professionals? They aren't joiners. Nope, not at all, not whatsoever. Young people won't join, they won't renew, they won't step into leadership roles. So why bother, right? Wrong. I'm here to tell you nothing could be further from the truth. Let's go back in history for just a moment, because undoubtedly, young people aren't joining the same way that they were joining in years prior, decades prior, even centuries prior. There has been a change, and it's not some generational character flaw to explain why all of a sudden young people won't join their associations. No. There's been a much greater social shift, which has defined or redefined how people make that decision to join their association. So let's go back in history. I am sporting today, if you're tuning in on video, my favorite MTV shirt. If you are old enough to remember MTV, like I am, the dawn of MTV, it was kind of a big deal. In 1980, cable television arrived, and all of a sudden, everyone had access to news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And sometimes that news is good news, but most of the time it was bad news. So that began to shape the generations that were being raised ever since that time. But there were also changes happening besides just being able to watch MTV and other channels that matched your interests. We're talking about customization. All of a sudden, you didn't have to watch what your parents were watching. You didn't have to watch something at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. You could watch it every day, like MTV, which I watched a lot of MTV as a youth. I loved it. But it also introduced globalization, because all of a sudden you could watch shows that were covering news and information and entertainment actually from outside your own backyard or even your own country. We had live streamed all over the world. It was amazing. Now, what's this have to do with membership? Well, we're talking about generations who have been raised with this edutainment mentality, on-demand mentality, customized, globalized access to information, and it's merely accelerated ever since the dawn of cable TV in 1980. We haven't gone backwards. No, we only go forwards. So the more that we've had more customization, more on-demand access to information and news and entertainment, there is actual research now to prove that brain development is evolving. We know for a fact that the people who are coming of age right now, young teens, early 20s, that their brains have changed to be highly visual learners. And they gravitate towards media networks, information that's highly instantaneous, highly visual, on demand, at their fingertips, which makes sense because they were raised with wireless technology. So I'm talking about a lot of change that's happened. Why wouldn't membership change? How we engage people, how we approach them, recruit them, retain them. Why wouldn't that also change in light of all the social change that's happening? You need to remember that it wasn't that long ago that membership was a social expectation, meaning that when you reached a certain age, it was the right thing to do to become a member of your professional or industrial or community organization and to support it. You were supposed to follow that certain social rule. So you would get out of high school, you would move into a job, you would join your local association because it was the right thing to do and it was expected of you, and we were expected to be good citizens and loyal to our employers and loyal to our country and community. But bam, There is a huge wave of change starting in that 1980s era and just accelerating with the arrival of the home computer. And bam, the audience needs and expectations also changed. The way people interact with your association is different. It's no longer a social expectation for young people. They have choices, they have options, they research their options. They're very conscientious, careful consumers as a result of economic shifts. But also, they want access to a lot of stuff because they've been raised with access. They've been raised with that global, customized mindset. So if they come into your association and everything is pretty much the same programming that you provide 10 years ago, the same type of membership experience, it's not going to resonate. There's going to be a gap, and young people won't join. If young people aren't joining, it's because there's a reason. There's a reason. And it's usually because they feel like they don't belong. Belonging by definition means two things. It means you have a sense of ownership in something and a secure relationship in something. And if you really think about it, you will begin to understand how young people will feel like they don't belong. Even their cycle to engagement has changed. Again, when it was a social expectation to join your association, so the expectation existed and then you would join, but guess what? You wouldn't participate right away. It used to be that members would come in and they would sit back and they would observe and they would learn about the association and they would observe and they would watch and they would listen. And then slowly but surely, after several years, they would raise their hand and be considered at that point for leadership or volunteerism. But there was this whole unwritten rule, or sometimes verbalized rule, that you have to pay your dues. You have to pay your dues. That phrase came from, in other words, meaning you have to put in the time. You have to earn your way forward before you have a voice or a seat at the table. Well, that model has changed. That hierarchical model, wallflower, sit back, watch, observe model has changed. Now we see that young people, first and foremost, want to be invited. They're not expected to join. They want to be invited to join. And they want it to come from someone they admire, a peer or a leader in the industry with a personal invitation, not just a blanket direct mail that says you're invited along with 100 other people. No, it has to be special. It has to be meaningful. It has to be customized to them and their needs. So there's an invitation. They show up to the event, to the meeting, to the whatever, and they want to feel instantly like that is a place where I belong. That means your association's got to get its act together in terms of things like inclusion, customization, globalization, being innovative, adaptable, and making sure that young people actually belong. Remember, sense of empowerment, ownership, and a relationship. If you expect young people to come in and sit and wait their turn and pay their dues, that's not going to work anymore. So they want to come in, they want to feel like they belong. And then not only that, they want an opportunity immediately to get involved, to participate. For them, they feel that as soon as they make that emotional commitment to an association, they feel that they need to actually put some muscle and some heart and mind into it. They're willing to volunteer. They want to do that. They want to really, truly dive in and be a part of the association. So we have seen the cycle to engagement, how different generations of members join their association, participate in their association, that social contract and those expectations, it has changed. It has changed forever because, again, we don't go backwards. We only go forwards. So when someone says, yeah, those young professionals, they just aren't joiners, think again, because that's false. That is not accurate information at all. There are associations out there that have been very intentional about listening to what young people want and creating and acting upon it, creating room for them to have a seat at the table, creating room for them to use their voice, making sure that they too feel like they belong and they are expected to sit around and wait to pay their dues. They know that young people want to be invited, want to be respected and valued. They know that they are a better membership community when people of all ages and skill sets and backgrounds are involved. And it works, and they're able to engage young people. It does work. But if young people aren't joining your association, there is a reason why. It's not their fault. Don't be the association that says, oh, all those young people, who needs them? We'll just keep doing more of the same. It's their fault. It's their fault. Turn the finger back around and say, wait a minute, are we creating a space for them to truly belong? Because young people are joiners. So, ladies and gentlemen, get to work. Start thinking about membership in new and different ways so that you can engage those young people and the next generation of members and leaders and volunteers. I'm Sarah Sladek. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Membership IQ. If you want more information, you can reach me at sarahsladek.com, savetheassociations.com, or xyzuniversity.com. Good luck.